So, welcome again to my first webinar here. Günther Schepke, who you all know, and I were thinking that it might be a good idea to give you guys who are in North America right now a little bit of a training in promoting Freie Universität Berlin while you are abroad. My name is Andrea Adamor. I'm the director of the FU Liaison Office in North America. It's actually a joint liaison office of Freie Universität and Ludwig-Maximilians-Universität in München. And we are located in New York City in the German House. If I turn the camera around, you would actually see the United Nations. I won't do that now. Yes, so today we are talking about promoting Freie Universität Berlin, and I'm actually going to show you my presentation in a second. Let's see. So, okay, this is the end of the slideshow. Big mistake. See, that's learning by doing. Here we are. That's the first slide. So first of all, why are we offering this webinar? We already in our invitation email to this webinar mentioned how important you as the outgoing FU students, wow, sorry about this. How important you as our outgoing students are for us as ambassadors. As you know, our exchange agreements, they rely on interest from your North American students, fellow students, their interest in coming to Berlin, to FU, so that next year we can send a new cohort of students abroad. So you might think, well, I know my university, I've studied at Freie Universität for 2 years or 3 years or how many years ever, and I know everything about it. And it's true, you know a lot about it, and you probably know a lot more details than I know in certain parts. But there's also a lot that you might not know just because you are a German student and you never entered this university as an international student. So I want to give you a little bit of information that is important for that. And also I want to talk a little bit about how you can present this information to your fellow students. And last but not least, I also want to mention how this is my office here, my assistant Priya, how we can help you with this. To start, I want to give you some resources that you can use beyond this webinar. Freie Universität actually has a great website that, I'm seeing a question, I think. Oh, Tobias, thank you. You actually let me know about something that didn't work and says it's working now again. Thanks a lot. Again, so FU has a very good website for incoming exchange students that gives a lot of details. If you want to learn quite a lot of information, what they will need to know, you could actually look at that, but that's why we're doing the webinar, that you don't have to go through all this information. But you could give them this website as a tool for being very well prepared. And then there is this brochure that Günther Schepke and I and some other people designed, Meet the World. It's a brief overview what international students coming to FU need to know. So this brochure we can certainly send to you if you are planning to do an event at your host institution. Okay, so FU Berlin, I want to talk about the study abroad opportunities that goes beyond exchange studying at Freie Universität Berlin. What I usually do, and this is basically what I want to do today, is I want to give you a little bit of a presentation of what I usually do when I visit our partner institutions in North America. And what I usually do is I go to study abroad fairs, and I put up a table there, and I bring, some pictures, some brochures, and then I attend the fair for 2 or 4 hours, and I answer a lot of questions. And that is good because you have a lot of foot traffic and a lot of students come by and they ask questions. But a lot of these students are actually just kind of roaming and they are not really specifically interested. So I'm trying to supplement the study abroad fair with an information session. And information session I'm usually setting up with the study abroad office at our partner university. It's like you just get a room and for an hour you invite students from different departments that might be interested in studying in Germany, and then I talk in depth about what we as the university have to offer. And this is when this presentation comes in handy. But of course all the information that I'm giving you is also very helpful if you are at a study abroad fair, and that's already like talking about the how can you do this. So you can take part in a study abroad fair at your host institution, or you can also be more proactive. Maybe your university in Canada or in the US doesn't actually host a study abroad fair. Maybe you just go to the international office and say, I want to support our exchange agreement, and why don't we do a little Germany or studying Berlin afternoon thing? And then hopefully they'll be agreeing and then you can just invite students and maybe bring some cookies. The study abroad office might provide some coffee, and you can talk about studying at Freie University in that setting. And if such thing would be to arrange, so if you are going to a study abroad fair or if you are setting up some kind of other format to promote FU, please contact me. I will make sure that you have print materials to give to the students, and also if there's anything else that we can help you. If you want to do something, if you want to provide some snacks or anything, of course you shouldn't have to pay for that out of your own pocket. So let me know what you're planning, and then we'll discuss if I can help you with that, setting that up and paying for that. So what I'm doing now is I'll actually guide you through the presentation, and then we can talk about some more detailed stuff afterwards. So I usually start my presentation to American students with a little bit of a story about what Freie Universität Berlin is. I talk about the Excellence Initiative, which I'm sure all of you know that we had in Germany, and that FU Berlin was very, very successful. By the way, I just said FU, which obviously in English you would usually say FU, but you probably already know why I'm not using this. So usually I would actually say always Freie Universität Berlin, but it's a little cumbersome and long, so I recommend just saying FU Berlin as a short version. So I talk about the Excellence Initiative, I talk about the founding principles of our university, and I talk about the fact that one of the key features of the university is that it's a very, very international university. It has been such from the beginning. It was founded with a lot of help from the United States of America, and it has sustained its ties to the US and to other countries over the years, and actually built networks, built relations, and is at least one of the, if not the strongest German university in terms of internationalization. You can see this in numbers like of international students at FU, but also in numbers of outgoing and incoming international students. After who we are, I usually present a little bit about, depending on the audience, where we are. Depends on where you are, in the US or in Canada. Some people might not know where exactly Germany is in Europe and where then Berlin is in Germany, so it's a little neat to show a slide like this. And also to talk about FU Berlin in Berlin and what Berlin has to offer, that it's, they will come as an exchange student or visiting student, but there's much more in the higher education and research landscape in Berlin. We have 4 universities, we have universities of applied sciences, we have many non-university research institutions that are all a great resource for our incoming students. I usually show pictures of Berlin, and here I would say please add your own, substitute them with your own pictures. These are probably a little outdated and you might laugh about them, so it's just a suggestion for you, but pictures are always a good idea. And then I talk about our campus in Dahlem, also about the research aspect, especially if you have an audience with some students who might be interested in doing a graduate degree in Berlin, like a master's program or a PhD program. They might be interested in facts like this. An air view of our campus. I tend to compare it to the Italian boot in Dahlem. It's a very green campus. I usually talk about the villas of the different departments, but also, we can talk about our library and some of the newer buildings. And then what we have here is a little bit of a walk around the campus, kind of a flagship picture. Again, an image of how green FU as a campus is. And speaking about campus, American and Canadian students they actually do have a very particular idea of what a campus is. And in my opinion, it's very important to explain a little bit to them that a German university campus is quite different from that. And Freie Universität is not even the most extreme example of that, because we actually do have a little bit of a campus feeling. If you look at Humboldt University, for example, there's no campus. It's totally integrated in the city of Berlin. Freie, it's a little bit different, but there are also so many non-university buildings on our campus. And another very important thing is that there's no on-campus housing. We'll talk about housing in a minute, but for American students, this is a completely foreign theme. So it's very important to give them a little bit of a feeling that how our campus looks. We have a beautiful botanic garden as part of our campus. Yeah. We can obviously also talk about one of the most famous visitors of the university. So lots of interesting facts about the history and the field at Freie Universität. And then, of course, it is very important to talk about the details of the specific programs that they can come and join for. What we are most interested in is that they are joining us for as long as a time as possible. So either they come for a degree program, which I'm not going to talk about today, because for that they will actually have to contact a specific program, but you can offer them, and my information especially, if they want to have information about a particular program or the application processes, etc. But the second thing that we're very interested in is that they're coming as an exchange student, that they're joining our university as a normal student, so that they're coming for a semester or a full year. And what that means and what process they have to go through. So as was the same for you when you applied to for a place at a North American university, you actually applied at Freie's international office. And that's the same for them. They actually will apply at their study abroad or international office at their home institution, and then this institution selects the students that they want to send to Freie Universität, and basically nominates the students, and at that point they usually get accepted. The dates that you see on this slide are actually the dates that the American institution has to nominate their students. So the deadlines for your fellow American students or Canadian students are earlier than this, and they're actually quite a bit earlier. So it might be a good idea before you do an info session, if you do one, to talk to the study abroad office and ask them what is actually your application deadline. Is there anything I need to know or I should tell them? You can also inquire about who's the contact person and can tell the students, you should talk to Elizabeth so-and-so in the study abroad office. Once they are nominated, and if everything is okay, they will get an acceptance letter from Freie Universität, and already at that point they will be invited to join our distributed campus system. This is actually a really nice feature that's actually one thing I love about Freie Universität Berlin as a host for international students, that all international students get a login to the distributed campus, which is an online system that prepares international students for their experience at the university and in Germany and Berlin in particular. But they get a login, and then they have a timeline online. They see at what point in time they need to do which administrative step, what documents they have to get together. They can actually do a mini German course online. They find information about housing and all these things, and they also get reminders if they miss the deadline, etc. So that already at that point, very early in the process, they get a tool at hand that will help them prepare. American and Canadian students, and I'm talking about nationals, they don't need a visa to enter Germany, so they would just enter Germany most likely by plane, and then within 90 days they have to get a residence permit. It's a student residence permit. But before, if they are Canadian or US nationals, they don't need a visa. Of course, you have other international students who might be interested in going in a third country for study abroad. There are specific countries with specific visa rules. So, but for Canadians and Americans, visa is not necessary. The students will have to obtain health insurance in Germany. That's actually one of the requirements in order to get a residence permit. They also have to register with the Einwohnermeldeamt, as you probably all know. So there are a few administrative steps that they have to do once they're in Germany, but the international office will guide them along and will help them with this. Health insurance, important especially for US Americans, is not very expensive for students, between 70 and 80 euros a month. In the US, that would be much more expensive, so it's worth mentioning that. And also, if the student can prove that his American-Canadian health insurance covers everything while being abroad and for the full length of the term abroad, then the student can get a waiver and doesn't have to get German health insurance. In addition to health insurance, there are the administrative Semestergebühren that also our exchange students have to pay. So they will pay 290 euros Rückmeldegebühr, that is including the semester ticket. I usually elaborate a little bit about Berlin and its great public transportation system, and that with a semester ticket you can actually go quite far and use the trains, buses, everything at day, at night, which is a great benefit. Fees, one thing that's not mentioned here, and I don't know how much aware you are of the fact that how the exchange programs actually work. So it's called a tuition waiver, meaning that you don't have to pay tuition at our partner university, but the American student is actually in the position that they have to pay their tuition while they are abroad. So for you, studying in America is basically free because you don't have to pay tuition fee at home. For the American student, they keep paying their tuition fees at home even when they are abroad. So it's not that they save their tuition in order to go to Germany. So they actually will have to pay a little extra for living expenses, travel, etc. Language requirements. You probably already have encountered that a lot of your American fellow students are not fluent in German, or that there are very few who are. And depending on what kind of program they want to study in while they are in Berlin, that might be a challenge or actually an obstacle. So what we do is for undergraduate studies at Freie Universität Berlin, if they want to come for a year or a semester during their bachelor's degree, they will actually have to have a level 3 test DAF, that's Deutsch als Fremdsprache, German proficiency. We are not testing them before they come to Germany, so we basically rely on the partner institution, the American and Canadian universities, to make sure that the students that they nominate to come as exchange students, that they are actually capable of the German language in an amount that they can study in German. And this is the reason for this language requirement is that most of our undergraduate courses, as you probably know, are taught in German. So what I'm usually telling students is that depending on which field they study, there is a limited course offer in English. Obviously at the John F. Kennedy Institute for North American Studies, there are a lot of courses offered in English. There are some other fields of study where in political science we have a good amount of courses in business studies where there are courses, undergraduate courses that are taught in English that they can take. But it's going to be very hard for an exchange student to cover his full course load with courses taught in English. And if so, then there won't be a lot of choice. So that's why intermediate German is actually quite necessary. What we usually can arrange for exchange students is even if they have to take a course in German, it's taught in German, that upon talking to the professor who is teaching the course, it's sometimes possible to submit papers or write the exam in English, which might be very helpful. And if a student is not quite sure if he or she is up to the requirements or wants to fresh up the language abilities, FU is offering a preparation language course 6 weeks before the semester starts, so early September and in March. It's a very intensive course, comes at the price of 600 euros, but obviously this price is much lower than what they would pay at a private language school in Germany, and they get credits for these courses. And then during the semester, they can take language courses for free at the Sprachenzentrum. Okay. So here again, information about the distributed campus that is very, very helpful in preparing the student. Of course, in addition to the online system, there is the support by the international office. There is an orientation program where there will be a lot of information for them just before the semester starts. And one of the most important questions, of course, is about credit transfer. That basically works like for you. They will get a transcript with graded with grades and ECTS, the European Credit Transfer System points, and it will be sent to the university and the student gets a copy. Obviously ECTS doesn't make sense to a lot of Americans, so they usually convert 2 to 1. So 2 ECTS points will be 1 American credit. Housing. I already said that that's a little different from housing in the US. We do not have on-campus housing. I usually explain that that universities don't own dorms, and that's why it's not on campus, and we cannot guarantee housing for all students. But what we do is we for our exchange students, we actually do offer, if they apply for Studenten Wohnheim housing, at the point of applying for an exchange spot, we can guarantee that they will get a room, because we recognize that it's hard for exchange students to find housing. So if they apply early, they will get a room. But we also offer information on how to find housing outside from Studentenberg. And then there's a link for more information as well. Before I go into the details about the other programs we have at Freie Universität for international students, so you probably already encountered the big misfit between the American and Canadian and the German academic calendar. And part of why programs like FUBIS and another program that I'll talk to you about a little later, FUBEST, why they were created, is the language component, of course, but another reason is this misfit of the academic calendars. So it is very important that you make students, interested students, aware of the fact that our academic year starts in October of each year, and then the semester runs through February. Then you maybe talk a little bit about how exams, how and when they are run, and then that there's a break, and then that the next semester starts in mid-April and runs through the summer, and then there's a longer break in the summer. What that means for American students is that it's almost impossible for an exchange student to come and study in Berlin for the winter semester. They can study for the summer term only, but if they want to come for one semester only, they cannot come in the winter semester because it basically kills 2 of their semesters in North America. So we always encourage them to come for a full year, because then it doesn't matter at all. Or if they can only come for a semester, then they should definitely come in the summer semester, which I personally think is the better semester in Berlin anyway, just because of the weather. Summer. Here is actually the link to FUBIS, the Freie Universität Berlin International Summer and Winter University. So FUBIS is extremely attractive to especially US American students. FUBIS was created to react to a big demand in short-term studying abroad. So in the US in the past 10, 15 years, we've seen a very, very big increase in the number of students who go study abroad. But what we've also seen is that the biggest portion of these students is actually studying for shorter and shorter times. A lot of students come on faculty-led programs with their professor, with their fellow students from the US, and they basically take an American course, like 12 students together with a professor, and they go and take a plane and land in somewhere in Europe or in Africa or somewhere, and they do their coursework there, and then they all return together. Of course, it's very easy to organize in terms of credit. You don't have to transfer credit. They just earn credit as if they were at home. So they basically go on an extended field trip. In my opinion, that's not really studying abroad. Even they study abroad, but they really don't encounter a different culture of teaching, of research, of a university. They move their classroom for 3 weeks. So FUBIS is a little bit of an answer to the demand of short-term programs, but we still implement, or we still offer a German way of doing this, and it's in our hand. So FUBIS is in a very intense academic summer program, and also we have one term that's run in January. That's why it's also Winter University. They offer intense and or semi-intense language courses, and they also offer a large variety of subject courses. So now the subject courses are mostly taught in English. Language courses, of course, German language courses are taught in German. What is nice is that FUBIS is also interesting to students who don't speak German at all. They can either start learning German while on FUBIS, or they can take a subject course that's taught in English and don't have to bother about with German at all. FUBIS is a very nice program in that way that it they use what they call the extended classroom. So they try to, for every single course, they try to take students and explore Berlin. They try to use all what Berlin has to offer and build it into the coursework, so that a student, even if the student is taking 2 courses, which is pretty busy, still has time during class to explore Berlin. Yeah, so as I already said, semi-intensive or intensive German courses, obviously very different language proficiency levels, so there's a language test at the beginning. There are study and field trips, a weekend trip, and then FUBIS offers various options for housing. The student can decide to find his or her own housing, but they also can stay with a German family. The family would speak German and can do a homestay. Very neat option to really experience culture, German culture. But also there are possibilities of student housing in dorms. The dates for FUBIS in 2015 are already out. When I'm sending you these slides, you'll actually see them in the notes section of the presentation. And I also put in kind of an average cost for a 4-week course, including housing. It's around 2,600 euros for up to 8 credit points. It really depends if they take, there's a 3 weeks course in January that has a different cost, obviously, from an 8 weeks course, a 6 weeks course in the summer, or the 4 weeks cost in the summer. So it's kind of it depends on what courses the student picks, which housing alternative, but just as a to give an idea, the number of 2,600 might be helpful. Yeah, and the website, of course. And then there is FUBEST, and FUBEST is basically the extended version of FUBIS. FUBIS is summer, short-term. FUBEST is the same idea, but for a semester or for a full year. I'm just seeing that somebody is having, I think, oh, Tobias can't hear me. Does anybody else have problems in hearing? If so, it would be nice if you can just quickly send me a message. Not seeing another message. So Tobias, I hope that it's just a temporary problem. And if you can't hear me at all, Tobias, you'll obviously get the link to the presentation, and hopefully you can hear it there. We are already, anyway, with the last program that I want to introduce today to you. It's FUBEST. It's a semester-long version of FUBIS. This is not the official language. It's my language. It's the same idea. We are trying to invite international students. The topic courses are taught in English. One difference is that in FUBEST, students actually have to take German language courses. So even if it's the basic level, but they have to learn German while they are in Berlin. So as I said, it's a semester-long or year-long program. The semesters actually run along the American academic calendar, so they start in September, end in December, and then from January to April. And what's kind of a neat feature is that if a student is fluent in German at the end of the spring term and has time and would love to stay on, the student could actually spend the whole German summer semester in Berlin as well, take regular courses at Freie Universität, and actually do 3 semesters in 1 academic year and get credit for that as well. And FUBEST is the FU Berlin program in European Studies. So the non-language courses are covering a large variety of topics from literature, history, European politics, German politics, like psychology, sociology, etc. So something for almost everyone. So for FUBEST, and it's the same for FUBEST, there's no prior knowledge of German needed. There are a lot of extracurricular activities that students can attend. And same as with FUBEST, housing different options depending on what the student wants. The average cost for a semester in FUBEST, including housing, is around 7,000 euros. And that would not, just to make that very clear, FUBEST students usually do not pay home tuition, or there is a special arrangement with their host home institutions so that they don't pay their full home tuition in the FUBEST fee. So that's just for you as a background information. The last thing that I want to touch on before asking you for questions is we always get questions about, so how do I pay for this? Even if it's not more tuition than I would pay while I'm at home, there's additional cost for travel, additional cost for housing. Some students in the US still live with their parents, or whatever the arrangements are. So they will ask for scholarships. And unfortunately, we don't offer scholarships to our incoming international students. This is why it's nice to offer them some kind of advice of where they can apply. And the best resource for them is definitely the DAAD, der Deutsche Akademische Austauschdienst, or in English, German Academic Exchange Service. I give them the website. I tell them a little bit about what the DAAD is, and then I say that they have a lot of different scholarships and grants. The most important ones for them would be the undergraduate scholarship and the graduate scholarships, as well as a program it's called RISE, the Research Internships in Science and Engineering. Undergraduate scholarship is for exactly the student that you'll be talking to when they want to come for a semester or for a year to Germany. Also, if they want to do independent study or research, all academic fields for a semester or full year. It's 650 euros per month, which is almost enough to cover your living expenses. Very important with DAD in general is that the deadlines are very early. So for the undergraduate scholarship, it's January 31st for the next academic year. So even if a student is applying for a stint in Germany in the summer semester of 2016, they would have to apply by January 31st, 2015. So by the end of January in 2015, everyone who wants a scholarship in the academic year 2015-16 has to apply. And a lot of students are not aware of that early deadline, so it's important to point it out. RISE is a program because we get a lot of questions about how about research internships or internships in general. There is a program that's very successful, and a lot of German universities, also Freie Universität, is actually offering spots in it. It's a research internship in science and engineering. It's in the summer. Students don't need to speak German for that, though it helps. And undergraduate students from the US basically are paired with, and Canada, are paired with German doctoral students, and they do research work over the summer. There's a database where students can look at what kind of internships are offered in the next year, and then they can apply. I think they give 3 options that they would be interested in, and then they are matched and can go to Germany. And it's fully paid, very generous scholarship. And the last scholarship I just want to touch on is the study scholarship for graduates. It's for 1 or for 2 years of study in Germany. This is especially interesting for those students who want to do a master's or a PhD degree in Germany. They can apply by even earlier the deadline, November 4th. There's 60 scholarships for the US and Canada every year, €750 a month, and there's a travel stipend, insurance covered as well. So this is something very interesting for students who want to pursue a degree. And as I said before, if you encounter someone like that, I would just recommend to refer them directly to me, unless you happen to know, of course, the answers to their questions. How to apply? On the website of the DAAD, there's a database where they can look for scholarships. There are tips on how to apply, what to pay attention to. Very helpful, the website. So that would be it in terms of the information that I wanted to give you, and open now for any kind of question. If you think I forgot something that your fellow students might want to know, or you have any kind of recommendation, please let me know. I'm hoping to be able to see any questions. That does not seem to be the case. I'll wait for another minute or two. Also, of course, I mean, you have my contact information. Please feel free to write to me or call me with any kind of problem you encounter while you're here in North America, even if it's not related to studying at your host institution or promoting FU. Our office is obviously also here to help you, support you while you are in North America. If you happen to come to New York, feel free to stop by, give us the heads up so that we make sure that we are here, and we'll welcome you at the German House in New York. Yeah, and let us know about your experience in your host institution. And also, obviously, we are very open to feedback about the webinar, about what you think about promoting FU while you are abroad. How can we better help you prepare for this task, and how we can help you. Okay, I don't see any questions, so with that I would say we close the webinar, and I say goodbye and have a wonderful semester or year in North America. Bye-bye.